Hi, we're talking about the marketing mix, we're talking about product this morning. We're going to look at the product life cycle. This wee guy likes coming up every day. And there we go, product life cycle. We're going to look at extension strategies. We're going to look at product portfolio and the Boston Matrix. So that's something that we're going to look at, how a product goes through its life, okay, and looking at the longevity of products. Learning intentions, candidates will learn about the different stages of the life cycle. So we have to be more go into in greater detail about research and development, looking at what happens in that stage, look at what happens to the profit at that stage, what's happening to your money at that stage. Then introduction, when the product comes into the market, you start to think about what pricing strategies you might use. Then growth, as the product becomes slightly better well known, more sales start to increase, okay, different pricing strategies might come in there. And then you get to the best bit, the maturity part of it. And maturity is when it's at its peak sort of idea. And you want to ensure the fact that you try and keep that for as long as possible, and that leads us on to looking at extension strategies. And then what happens is products do go into decline. Think about DVDs, CDs, all these sorts of things. Okay, so what happens at that stage? What happens to pricing? What happens to your profits, etc.? So we're going to look at the sales revenue, the profit levels at each stage. And we're also going to look at extension strategies. How do you enhance the sales and profits that you generate from that profit, or from that product, in that market? And then lastly, we'll look at product portfolios, which is about the costs and benefits of having a product portfolio. Is it a diverse product portfolio with loads of different products in different markets, like a conglomerate may have? Or is it based upon a product line? So dairy milk, for instance, with Cadbury's is the best one that I can think of. Right? Or I suppose you've got the Apple iPhone as well, and all the variants of that. But it's really interesting to look at the Boston Matrix to see what are stars, what have got high growth, high market share, down the way to divest. What do you do down at that bottom corner where you've basically got low market share and a low market? Is it worth keeping it going? Or are you creating too many losses for yourself? So, yeah, interesting. We'll go on and we'll look, first of all, a lot of people are crashing and just want a wee refresh. What is a product? Right? A product is basically what you sell, right? What it provides. So it can be a service, can be a good, can be anything. I've put a couple of images on there. A pair of Adidas shell toe trainers, the emergency services, a Golf GTI, a burger from McDonald's there, the signature collection. And then you've got the bottom there, you've got the kind of life cycle of what's happened and the extension strategies of the PlayStation from Sony. And this runs to 2016, but now we've got other things like artificial intelligence coming in. There's talk of the PlayStation 5 coming in. So you'll see that things become obsolete as they go through time. Funny enough about that, the burgers there from McDonald's, they've been brought into the UK market to try and battle back against people like Five Guys or the Byron Burger Company. They were losing market share to these kind of new, fancier, American-esque joints, gourmet burger joints. So what they did is they brought out their own signature collection burger, which is pretty good, I have to say. Right? And what they're saying is they're pitching it at a market price of £6 for a large. So they're saying you can get a large Coke, a really good burger, and a large fries for like £6. As opposed to Five Guys, which I have been to, which is basically for a burger with all the stuff you want on it, for some fries and a milkshake. It's like basically a mortgage. Alright, so, but I think it was the last time I went to Five Guys, I think it was £16 or something along those sorts of lines for a burger, some chips and a juice, and a milkshake. So yeah, it was good. Was it £16 worth? I have no idea. Some of you I'm sure will disagree. So, other things I want you to know, literacy keywords here. I want you to know what tangible means. Tangible means something you can touch. Alright, that is something like those trainers. Right, so you can actually touch them. Intangible, that means you cannot touch it. Right, that's about services. That's about the feeling you get. That's about the service you receive. That's about, for instance, the thing I always say to my hires is when you go for a haircut. You're paying really for the skill of your barber or the skill of your hairdresser. Now, you can't touch that, okay? They do a fantastic job for you. You can't touch it, right? And you can't touch your hairdresser either, because if you touch your hairdresser, you might get the jail. So that is what intangible is. It's that kind of the service that you are receiving. You've got other words there, durable. right, which means last for a long time. That's where Duracell comes from, saying that the battery will last for a long time. Non-durable, hey, that's perishable, like that burger would be in my hand. So you've also got things like lettuce, you know, and you see supermarkets try to combat that by having the reduction. The people going around putting on the yellow stickers, you know, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening, hoping that they'll sell out before these things go beyond their best before date or their sell by date. And then you've got a word at the bottom which I really like, obsolete, or my favourite is obsolescence. Right, that is when things become past their best, okay, they've been technically or they've been advanced by something. So you can talk about the VHS video, the DVD, right, that's changed. The Sony Walkman cassettes, we're now streaming music, streaming videos and all these sorts of things. Netflix is, you know, all the rage at the moment, you know, rather than going and buying a Blu-ray. So there's an argument to say that these things are all becoming obsolete, so they've stopped being produced, like DVD players have stopped being produced. Here you've got, oh, I've got my wee thing there, brilliant. Right, here you've got the graph of the product life cycle. I'm going to talk through it, and there's a slide with text on it in the next page. But hopefully you'll get most of it from here. You can see I've taken this because I think it's the best representation. I got this off the internet, off of an American site. That's why it's in dollars and not in pounds. With any graph in business management, you have to ensure you label your axis. Okay, so you label your axis down on this side here, so sales and profits. Okay, so that's showing you how many has been sold at a particular time, dropping down out into losses, right? And then you're going to go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas. Okay, we're going to talk about saturation as well, but I'll talk about that as I get to it. You've got to understand that, and I think we're becoming more attuned to it through things like Dragon's Den, etc. That a product comes from this point here. That's what's thought about, that's its inception, that's the idea, that's the James Dyson thinking, I'm going to make a better vacuum cleaner, right? I'm an inventor, I'm a scientist, I can do this better than other people. So you have the idea, and then what you have to do is you have to develop that idea. You have to take that idea and make it into something, either whether it be tangible or intangible, but you have to make it something that you can bring to market. So you have to go through the ideas, you have to test it. You know, we've talked about market research, but you have to develop the product, you have to build prototypes. You hear about these people that are in their garage making wee things and all these sorts of things, and hopefully they're on version 20, version 30. I think somebody told me once that for the Dyson, the actual Dyson original Cyclone vacuum cleaner, I think he went through 420 different prototypes before he was happy enough with the product to take it to market. Think about the effect that has on your revenue. At that stage, you're selling nothing, so you are not making any profit. If you look at the red line here, because you're starting to spend money here, you're starting to spend money on your development, on your prototyping, on basically your market research, and you're going out and you're surveying people. What are you doing at this stage? Right? So this is where you're really getting to the point here of, at this point here, you're thinking, yeah, it's good. I think we're going to bring it into the market. We've gone through all the prototypes. We're happy with the product. That, you know, if you're a market-led company, the market research is telling us this is what the market's ready for. If you're product-led, you're thinking this is the best version of the idea that we have had. So you'll notice that you're making a loss at this stage. So what happens at this stage here is you bring the product to market, as they would say, and this is the introduction stage. At the introduction stage, what you're going to find is it's not very well known, right? So people, what you're going to do, maybe put a penetration pricing strategy in, where you're going to basically really have to advertise quite aggressively to try and gain market share, to try and get people to swap from the product they're using to your product. So if you look at it and you see here that starts on this line here is starting to maybe get a wee bit better known, but how is it getting better known? Look down here, look at these profits, right? You're advertising heavily, costs money. You're basically putting together point of sale materials, maybe TV, radio adverts. You're getting yourself known, you're getting it distributed out to all these various places to get it to as many consumers or get it into their mindset as you can. So you're in the introduction stage. You're looking at pricing strategies, you're looking at losses, you're looking at promotion, advertising. What places am I selling it in the right places? Is my website good enough? So you've got to think about that, and all of this costs money, leading to you're probably making your biggest losses because you're trying to get your product out onto the market. So as you go through introduction, you'll see there's a gradual incline, right, in sales and profits starting to go up here. And then look at the bottom here. Yeah, we're starting to kick off now. We're getting back to this point here, which is hugely important, right? And we do it in National 5. This is where total cost equals total revenue. This is basically where we are at a point where we break even. We are not making a profit and we are not making a loss, right? So anything below this point here is a loss. Anything forward is a profit. Now this is the point where you're a wee bit better known. We're moving into the growth stage now. People are liking your product, they're buying your product. It's probably starting to get better known. Okay, you've ditched the penetration pricing, and what you're doing now is maybe you're running promotional pricing. Maybe you have gone through, you're at the point now where you're still doing a bit of skimming, right, to try and regain a lot of your losses. But look at this, right? This is at the point where we're starting to make money. This is good times, as they say, good times. So you'll see through the growth stages, you're getting better known. People are maybe moving away from different brands and coming to your brand. Hey, you are well known in the marketplace, you know, so life is good at this point. Profits are good. And as we move along this line here, you'll start to see the profits start to level out slightly. Right? We're reaching the maturity stage. So your sales and all these sorts of things are still going up, reaching a peak up here somewhere. Right? And your profits, they are starting to plateau. So they're starting to take it along at that level. Now what you want to do at this stage here, right? At this stage here, you want to have an extension. You want that to run for as long as possible. Now this product life cycle could be 1 year, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. The kind of things I talk about are loom bands. Look at the short life cycle that they had. This will be watched in 5 years time, 10 years time, folk will not know what loom bands were. But generally in the market with just now, or with my pupils just now, you understand that they were a craze that happened for basically about 6 months. And they basically sold like hotcakes, and then they came down and basically now disappeared, so unfashionable. Right? Or you've got, this could be milk. And you could be 100 to 150 years of Coca-Cola, right? And they're kind of, if you think about Coca-Cola, they're sitting about this stage here, right? They are here, but of course they're fighting battles. There's the tax, the sugar tax, right? There's all the healthier lifestyle. There are all these sorts of things that are happening, which are affecting their life cycle. So this is just a graphical representation. These bits can move up and down slightly, but it's just to give you an indication of what's happening to profits and to sales at a particular time. So up here are our sales, and what happens at this point is, if you're deemed to have a good product, if you're deemed to be doing well in a market, competitors will come in with substitute products. Alright, so you'll have a look, and basically somebody will look over your shoulder and say, that looks really good, they're making loads of money, why don't we do that? The only way that you can really protect yourself from that, and we talk about it quite a lot, is to have a patent. Alright, and that just means that people can't copy you. That means you can dominate the market. Right, but they're very difficult to get these days, okay, especially with technology and all these sorts of things. You see Apple and Samsung battle over patents on a regular ongoing basis. So it's an interesting point when you're at the maturity stage. You're looking for longevity. You want that to be the brand leader for a very long time. Right, and at this point, and look at your profits are starting to go off a bit here. Now at this point here, it's starting to decline slightly. That's when you would classify, that's what we call saturation, when the market has become saturated. Maybe all these substitute products are in, people are buying other things, you know, they've kind of lost that brand loyalty, you know, so and especially as today's consumers, we're not as brand loyal as we used to be. I mean, I am still quite brand loyal, things like Colgate toothpaste, Coca-Cola, Adidas trainers, you know, and that's Love Pack butter, the only butter. But I honestly think that that's getting this saturation point here. Right, it's becoming more and more relevant with Aldi, Lidl, all these discounters and all these sorts of things coming in. So your sales actually gradually start to decline. And obviously, as time goes on, your profits will start to decline. At this point, you're looking at pricing strategies, you know, when you're basically moving away, changing your price, bringing the price down. Simple economics, okay? Lower the price, demand will increase. And then so your profits are staying here. It's kind of at this stage here when you have to decide, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue on with that product and hopefully you'll try and brought it back and it'll be extended up this way. But at this point here, just before you go, you drop to this level of, you know, the break-even point, you may be best and in your best interest to divest that product, to get rid of it. Alright, so that's the product life cycle. There's the really wordy slide, which I'm not very keen on, right? But it gives you everything: impact on sales, impact on profit. So I'll just read it very quickly for you. So development is a product that's been researched and developed, prototypes made, tested, feedback, market research. These are all key. What happens? There's no sales yet, so the product has still been developed, and your product will actually be making a loss due to the cost of development and zero income from sales. You then move on to introduction. I've explained this, but I just do it in a more structured fashion, I suppose. You launch the product, coincides with the introductory promotional activities to create what you classify as hype, right? Get people talking. Sales are slow to begin with as customers are wary, right? They're unsure of the product. They have been persuaded to buy it, right, and move away from competitors. How do you do it? You do it through advertising and marketing. Product begins to cut into the losses from the development, but high promotional costs result to the fact that a loss has been made overall. You just reach the growth stage, right? You've been on the market for a while, you're getting more aware of it, people are buying it. So this is where your sales start to rise rapidly. Can be a result of slightly reduced prices, lack of competition. And when I say slightly reduced prices, I mean promotional prices, right? It's only short term, just to basically keep charging those sales up the way. Other customers becoming confident in the product, right? And then the impact on your profits are they're starting to be made, and losses, development and promotion, they are starting to be recouped. So then move on to maturity. Right? Maturity is when the product's selling well, but what you've got to watch at this point is competitors start to enter the marketplace. Your sales will peak, and then it'll start to level out. So many sales can still be made for a long time at this stage. Remember, that's what I'm saying, like Coca-Cola, over 100 years, brand leader, right? Your profits can still be healthy, but they may start to fall towards the end of it. That's why we have extension strategies, because the competition have come in, they're taking some of your sales away, right? Profits may well start to decrease at this stage. And then you've got that point, saturation, right? The product suffers from too many competitors in the market. So there's too many, so people have got so much choice, right? That you might be getting, your sales will be starting to decline. They begin to fall as they flock to competitors' products because they're running particular. We're not as brand loyal as we used to be. So we are out there trying to buy what's best for us and keep as much money in our pockets. So your profits start to fall rapidly at this stage, especially if prices are slashed to encourage sales. So you really, at saturation, you've got to be it's very tricky in these two bits here. And then decline. The product's nearing the end of its life cycle. Okay, so sales will fall rapidly, and eventually the product will be taken away, withdrawn from the market. So your impact on your profits, they fall, and then you've got to make sure you don't go below that break-even point. You'll have to basically just get to the point where you say, shall we get rid of this? Okay, it has this run its life cycle. Looking now at extension strategies, we're at 18 minutes, so I think I'll only do the life cycle and the extension strategies in this video, and I'll move on and do portfolio and the Boston Matrix in the next one. So there we go, another graphic I've done for you there. As sales and profits begin to fall at the saturation point, here we go, there's the saturation point here, I would say roughly about here, to be perfectly honest with you. A business can attempt to inject new life into the product. How do they do it? Right, they extend the life cycle. So I've got a graphic there, and that's the Xbox, right? So you can see there's development stage. This is just sales. There's no profits linked on this one. Gets introduction, launched into the market. There's version 1, right? So it comes out. Goes through growth, gets to the saturation point. And then at this stage, what they do is, to reignite it, they bring out the second version, the Xbox Slim, right? Or the Xbox One 200 or 1 terabyte or something. They bring out new controllers that are associated with it. They change the price of the product. So they do something to try and inject new life into it. So you're extending the life cycle of the product. You're really trying to extend how long you can keep it at this point of making good money. So there are some extension strategies there for you. First one's basic economics. I learned back in high school was reduce the price, right? What will happen is demand will increase. So by making it more affordable, you're getting it to more folk, more people. You're appealing to more market segments if you want to have it in good higher business management speak. So changing the place the product is sold, move it online, make sure it's online, get it to potential customers. If you are not involved in e-commerce, you will see with the shift in the way that the retail market is going at the moment, with John Lewis and Debenhams and all that sort of stuff, right? The more places it's available, right, the more places you can basically attract customers. Online is such a huge market. But other things you're thinking about there is, do you only sell it in department stores? Is it reached the point in the life cycle where it's going into B&M bargains? As long as it's selling, you have to make sure you've got the right place for your product. Alter the method that it's promoted. Right? Iron Brew are one of my favourite companies that when they came to the idea of they stopped the way they were advertising. It was made in Scotland from girders and all these sorts of things. And then they took it, they completely repackaged it and went for that youth market. So they changed the method of promotion. They made it cool, right? They kind of took it away from the Scotland from girders thing, right? And the risque adverts, the kind of comedy adverts, all these sorts of things. So they raised awareness in different ways and they brought in the kind of younger generation. So really interesting, and Iron Brew is a good example of that, of altering the method of promotion. Variations of the product. Cherry Coke, Coke Vanilla, basically you've got all your Diet Cokes. Nothing happened to Coke for 100 years, till the 1980s, till they brought in Diet Coke, because they wanted to appeal to the female market. And then 20 years after that, or maybe 30 years after that, they brought in Coke Zero. And that was they were wary of the sugar tax and all these sorts of things, but they also realised the fact that men did not like the word diet, so we're not buying the product. Even all these guys that were at the gym and watching nutritionally what they ate and what they drank, right? Coca-Cola brought out a product especially aimed at that kind of young market of men, right? But funnily enough, I was talking to my class about it the other day. Diet Coke, Coke Zero's not doing particularly well just now. So Diet Coke have started an advertising campaign, you know, with guys starting to say, I don't care what people think of me, I like Diet Coke. They've moved away from the 3 women ogling the window cleaner, right, and drinking a Diet Coke and having this secret lady moment. Sounds a bit dodgy, but never mind. Right, so you've got all these sorts of things. Rebrand the product, right? Jif changed to Sif, right? Bounty and Plenty, right? Loads of different things. So you could rebrand it, bring it out, put different colours on it, you know, make it for a younger generation. Look at the packaging changes in Iron Brew over the years. You know, you'll see that happens. We've got changing the packaging, rebranding the product, changing the packaging again. That's the Iron Brew thing, right? So again, is it up to date enough? Does it look dated? You know, does it look cool, right? For instance, or changing the use, right? Extended the changing the use of the product, right? New markets, seasonal tastes. I'm trying to think of things that have changed. Like Kim and Aggie changed baking soda away from something that your granny put in her cakes to something you now scrub your toilet with in a naturally environmental way. Right? Confectionery at Christmas and Easter, the Malteser bunny, right? So getting away from the whole fact of Maltesers are these, you know, spheres full of honeycomb, right? They're now basically been crumbled up and put into a bunny and sold at a particular time of the year. And also look at your Glades, right? All your different air fresheners. This time of the year they're selling all these things that smell of Christmas trees and mulled wine and all these sorts of things. So change the use of the product, so to speak. I'm going to actually leave this video here because we've reached the 23 minutes and we'll come on in the next video. I'll look at product portfolios. So that was product. Hope you found it useful and I'll see you in a minute.